So we understand how containers creating objects, right? For any application, if you need object, container is taking the responsibility of creating such objects. Anything, either it's controller, service, or DMO, or IOC containers are responsible to create these objects. As you know, earlier we used to register them in J2EE containers. Then we used to look up wherever that object is required. So in Spring, we configure our beans so it will create objects. In case if you need that object anywhere, via this dependency injection, you can give that object. Via dependency injection, you can share that object. Yeah. So we started with this example, right? Dependency dependency injection we started. So let me give another example here today. Dependency injection is a concept to pass any data to your poser in simple words. You know, to make it very simple, all your classes objects are created by IOC only, correct? Am I audible, right? So consider here this is a poser class or a bean class. Consider it can be your controller or a service or a DA, your MVC classes, controller or service or DA, anything. No. Yeah. So this class can be anything. If this class needs some data, okay. So we understand it is creating object. IOC creating object. First, when I configure this class into XML file and load it into IOC doing what it is creating object of your class. It is creating object of your class. So it can be anything, okay? Any type of class, we configure it in XML file and that will be loaded into IOC, then immediately it will create object. During after creation of object, first step one we understand IOC create object. IOC will create object of your class, whatever class you are given as a input in XML file. In case if you're so object creation responsibility given to IOC, so it will create object and it will hold your object reference. So your object will be available with IOC. If your class needs any data here, if your class needs any data here, any data as an input, data input if it is required, okay, any developer configurations required, configurations or any objects, right? If anything is required, here, configurations or any objects, if you need here, you need not to hard code them or you need not to create such objects here directly. As first we are assigning object creation job to IOC, you have to fetch that objects from IOC only. You should not hard code them. If you need any configurations in your class, like drivers configuration or any other servers, uh, configurations, references, any external URLs, anything to your application, right? If you need any configurations or any objects, anything, if you need for your class, you can get that data from XML file. You can configure the data here to pass such configurations data or objects data here. We can able to pass data from XML file to your class. So what kind of data we might have? What kind of here? If I have a MVC classes like controller, service, DAO, usually the dependencies to your MVC classes, service, yeah. So this classes objects creation responsibility IOC taking care. Now coming to the dependencies. Generally DAO is the last layer which used to connect with the database, right? So for DAO, if you need any connection object, we generally use configuration class, one more class to create connections. So here we will use one more class like a configuration class, maybe for connections, connection configuration. So to create connections I need drivers dependency here, drivers or your database URL, DB details we need to pass here. So DB configuration is required here, database configuration is required here. So whichever is required here, that you can consider as a dependency. Okay. For this class responsibility, it need to create connections. So to create connections to this database, your connection configuration class requires DB configurations. So you can treat it like a dependency. This is dependency. And my DAO class want to connect with the database. To connect with the database, it needs connections. Connections I am creating inside connection configuration class. So you can create this class as a reference under this DAO class. Now this is one more dependency. For DAO, this is one dependency. Coming to service, it need to connect with the DAO. So for service class, DAO is the dependency. So here DAO is the dependency for service class. Controller needs to talk with service. So service is the dependency for controller. Service is the dependency here. So whichever object you needed, you need not to hard code it. As dependency concept is available, you can inject that objects. As already these objects are available with IOC only, right? When IOC creates them, it will create DAO object, your configuration object, and DAO, your service, controller, all these objects it will create. IOC will create all that objects and that reference is available with IOC. So whichever object you required or whichever data you required to pass to your classes, you can pass. For this class, if you need to pass some DB configurations, anyway that you are configuring it via XML file, right? So from this XML file, it will read your configurations and it will pass to your configuration class. And this object it will give to DO class, DO to service, service to controller. You can pass any data to any class. Hmm. Yeah, yeah, same thing, same example only I'm going to do. Okay, so here, end of the day, what we can do is here, for any class you can pass any data. For any class you can pass any type of data. That is what we call dependency injection. For any class we can pass any kind of data. The data or dependencies all we configure via XML file. And to pass the data, right? Either your class should have a setter method or parameterized constructor to take the inputs. From XML file, we can pass this data. To take that data inputs, either your class should have a setter method or parameterized constructor. In advanced concepts, we do everything using auto wiring and at the rate value annotations. Okay. In advanced concepts, we use only annotations, no setters, no getters, nothing. But generally, before this auto wiring advanced concepts, we used to use setter methods to give data to my class or parameterized constructors to give my data or to pass data to my class. Okay. So there are two ways, either via setter method or parameterized constructor. We can pass data to our class. We can pass data to our class. Okay. Just to focus on dependency injection and try to understand. Okay. I'll be giving one more example. So here data in the sense anything you can pass. Your class can have anything as a dependency. If this is my poser class, if this is my poser class, it can have any data type here. Any data type as dependency. Any data type as a dependency means some strings you can have. Example like we did in last example, right? String drivers information or some integer port numbers if you want, or if you want to pass any object. Okay, so different other poser object if you want to pass here into one poser, another poser class if you want to pass here you can pass, and array objects if you want to pass array type, array of strings, or if you want to pass array of posers, anything, any arrays you can pass, or collections, any collection you can pass here, any collection also you can pass here. So which means anything you have capability to pass anything to your class. If your class needs some string data or some integers data or any other poso class object or arrays or collection, any data you can have as a dependency, that all data configuration you can do via XML file. From here, right, by calling setter method or constructor. If you have setter here, right, in this XML file, we call this setter method, and via that setter only we pass data input here. We pass data input from here. From here we pass the data input. And this concept dependency injection will help. It is useful for the developers. Okay. Developer inputs, whatever developer during development he needs here as a configuration or here as a dependencies, all the data he need not to hard code. Instead hard coding inside class, the same thing he can arrange via XML file. So via XML file if he arrange, he will benefit a lot. In future if you want to change any inputs, directly developer can go to this XML file and he can do the changes easily. We will talk about it. Okay. Yeah. So via setters or constructors, we can pass this data from XML file. Dependency injection of all types. Okay, this is simple concept only. Hmm, same IOC jars, same jars, not it. So same IOC jars. Okay, you remember, right? We added through Maven and yeah. So Spring Core, context, and commons logging. These are the important context, core. These two are the Spring dependencies, context and core. If you are doing via Maven, commons logging, context, core, Spring Beans, three Spring jar files, Spring Core, Spring Context, Spring Beans, and commons logging. Yeah. So I'm creating a simple bean class here to make you understand what kind of data we can pass. Student. I'm getting a simple bean class here. Consider this bean like your controller or service or DAO. This is not a user input bean. Many people will confuse here. Many people will confuse here. This dependency concept they will assume to end user. They will try to ask, can I pass the front end data which is coming from UI? You know, don't go into that assumptions. Okay, UI front end user will use, right? Many people will think this way. UI data, can I pass from here to here as a data input, and can I pass this input to poser class? No, this is not for that. Okay, dependency end user data, UI data, directly it will hit your classes methods. It will hit your controller and then controller to service to DAO. That is the direct flow for front end data to pass to your controller and service DAOs. Generally, this user input to data, we never take it as a data input here. These data inputs are not front end user inputs, developer inputs. During coding, right? Who will create connection? Who will supply, connection string, driver name, URL, username, password? Developer only, right? So all the developer inputs, data inputs in the sense here, all the developer inputs during coding only. Developer will pass this data during coding, and this is not end user data. Dependency injection concept is for developer, for you. While you are implementing application, it will support you to pass data from XML to your class. Okay, so consider this class is like something controller, DAO, anything, name it anything. I need some data here, private string, some name, email. I want to pass name, email, and private int number, roll number, two strings and one integer type, and I want to pass private string array of courses he joined or course names, subjects. So one array value also I want to pass as an input. Just see how this data is passing here. Okay, just limit your imaginations to only how this data passing from XML file to this class. That's it. Okay. So how name, email or roll number subjects will be passed to this object from XML file. So these are the primitive data types. Okay, consider string also as a primitive. So these are the primitive data types. In case if you have any secondary data type here, if any other class dependency also if you have here, let's say I have one address class, I'll auto that address also here, private address secondary type. So an object also I want to pass here. Along with them, these are the primitives. Primitives covered, secondary type covered. In case if you want to pass any collections here, private list, one list type I want to pass here. Again, collections will hold primitive and secondaries. Anything collection can hold. Just let's do with the primitives only. But you can do anything. Something fruits. List of fruits I want to pass. Only one collection I am taking. The other two also you can see from our example. Okay. List we can pass, or let me take that here. Set type also you can pass here. Set of some cities. And map key value pair, right? States and capitals. Anything. Give me challenge. I mean, we can pass anything. That much powerful the DI concept is. Your class can have any kind of data as a dependency. Properties also. Private. Collections have properties class also, right? Properties data type. This one also. What not? You can pass anything to your class. That is the beauty of dependency injection. Now it is from Java collections. Go through it, okay? Properties is a class to read properties file. It is given in Java collections. Have one example, okay? Simple core Java example. మీకు ప్రాపర్టీస్ ఫైల్ రీడ్ చేయడానికి యూజ్ అవుతుంది ఇది, ఓకేనా? డాట్ ప్రాపర్టీస్ ఉంటాయి కదా, డాట్ ప్రాపర్టీస్ ఫైల్ కీ వాల్యూ పేరు కాన్ఫిగర్ చేస్తాం దానికోసం. యా, ఎనీవే. So here any kind of data, either it's a name, string type or number type or arrays or collections or any custom objects. If you see here, I covered almost all the data types here. Anything you can pass to your class. Just for each property, right? To pass name, I need one setter method. Okay, you can have one set name method. Via the set name method, I can pass this data. The set name method will allow me to pass data from XML file to this class. Set name, set email, setting name. From here what we are doing, we are trying to setting it. Setting name coming from XML. So whatever name coming from XML this value will be supplied. That we are trying to setting here to this name. Same way you can do for all. Set name, set email, set roll number. After that, set cities, set subjects, set fruits collection type, set cities, set type, list type, set type, and set the states capitals map type, set address secondary type, set properties type. So use all these setter methods to supply your data from XML file to here. Setting roll number here, setting subjects here, and end of the day this concept is for developers only. Okay, remember, developer, as a developer you have full powers to pass anything from XML file to your class. So you need not to imagine during development if you feel that some object is required to you or some string input is required to you for configuration, something is required to you, then blindly think about dependency injection. Don't hard code it. You should blindly go with the dependency injection concept. Remember immediately, okay, I have dependency injection concept. This will allow me to pass data. This will allow me to pass data from XML file. So I need not to hard code them. I can easily pass data from XML file. As a developer, I will be having so much flexibility. Tomorrow, if I want to change name, email, or roll number, subjects, anything, any changes if it is required, I go directly to XML and I do changes there. I need not to touch my bean class. So let's have XML file and do it. So to call setter methods, I said two ways we have to call setter methods. We use this property tag. So now I'm trying to creating my bean here. Student bean std class name beans dot student class. So now I need to call each setter method here. Generally, if it is a core Java approach, if it is a core Java, how you will call them? If you want to set them, you need to create object here. Student std equal to new student. Then std dot you will be calling setter methods, set name, and you will be passing your name here. Set name, set email if you want, you will be calling set email. You will be doing email setting here. Now instead of Reference variable, correct. This reference variable. So now for this line number 60 alternative is this. So this will fulfill the requirement of object creation. So object is created with this line. Object will be created. And how you will call this set name, set email? So to call that setter methods only, this property tags. When you use property tag, and if you pass your setter method name here, my setter method name is set name. Basically, this is my setter method name, set name. You need not use this set. Directly put name and not case sensitive. Put name, set name, set name method, and here you can pass value. So you can give some name here. Set name, set email, set address, within set email. So you can call setter method set email Nitin at Gmail. So when I use this property tag, indirectly what it is doing? Indirectly it is calling your setter methods. Indirectly it will call your setter methods. When I use property name, if I pass it will call set name method. If I call name is equal to email property. Property name means setter method name. Property name means your setter method name. So when I use email, it will call set email method. So whatever email value you are giving here, that will pass here. Hmm. 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 Basically, first thing I created this variable with this name name. While you generate setter methods, right? Setter method by default ID or you write, right? After set, it will use your variable name only here. Set name. After set, what we have? Name. Huh. No. Just it. No. Listen. So this is my setter method name. Okay, your variable only to use to generate the setter method. So this is actually setter method name. Setter name. So as per naming conventions, it will keep it as capital N. Set name. So if you remove this set right from this setter method name, so the remaining value is name. This is what you need to configure here. Okay, so that is equivalent to your variable only. Yes, exactly. Sometimes some developers, hmm, of course, it is your setter method name, not this variable name. Setter method name. This is setter method name, not your variable name. Okay, we don't care whether you put XYZ or element here. So as you have all these parameters are same names, you don't know which one it is considering, right? So that's why I'm telling you setter method name. So here actually you can do this. Okay, set name also you can put, no worries. So as this is not required, we are putting only name. Set you can remove from your setter method and put name. Why? Because property tag obviously will call setter method only. So which setter method it will call? Set name method it will call. So as my variable name and this one is same, to make it comfortable, right? I'm using that variable name only here, but it will call setter method only. Okay. So set name, set email it will call, and it will pass the data. Set name, set email, and the other properties. So this is how object it will create, and this is how we are calling setter methods. Now set roll number type, integer type. Set roll number. We can pass numbers also here. Property roll number value. So even if it is integer also, you can pass this into double quotes only. Okay, don't worry, it will do the typecasting. 1 2 3 4 5. Set roll number, set subjects. Subjects are array type. Array of subjects I need to pass here. Property, set subjects value, not a single value to pass here. Not a single value. So array of values I need to pass. So between property and property tag, you can construct array here. Dynamic array will be constructed and that array will be injected here. So how array need to construct here? There is a list tag. Using this list tag, you can create string array here. Subjects. So Java Spring something microservices. So this one it will create it as a array. This array will be passed into subjects. So this is the way to create array. Okay. So that array will be passed here, subjects array. Now I have list of string fruits I need to pass. List of strings. List of fruits I wanted to call and pass here. Same thing. Same list tag only we will use for list collection type also. Same list tag we will use. This tag only is useful for string array also. List tag only useful for string array also. So now list of fruits we are passing here. Which type it is? List type. Collection list type. Into collection list to pass list of fruits, I am using list tag here. Now I have one more dependency, cities. This is set. So you can imagine tag now here. For list I used list tag. So for set obviously it should be yes set tag. So set of cities. You can pass set of cities here. You can put any cities here. Now, yeah, we deal with them easily. Now coming to map, it needs a key value pair. For this simple data we passed here. When it comes to map, you need to give key value. Now the tag is states and capitals I need to pass here. So tag is the same as you expected, map tag only. But within the map, not a single value, right? Key and value I should pass. Here simply value we given, but for map, key and value we have to give. So to pass key and value they given one entry tag. Under this entry, you have one key attribute. So here you can give key and we have one value attribute. Value you can pass. So states and capitals. So state TS capital HID. MH Mumbai. KA Bangalore. Something like this. So keys and their respective values you can pass here. Key and value. Key and value. So as it is a map object, you need a map object here. I'm not hard coding this map data also I can able to pass from my XML file. So in future if I want to do some changes directly I can go to XML and I can apply my changes. I don't touch my class. As a developer I have lot of flexibility. I can do any changes from my XML itself. Okay, states and capitals also good. Now properties. I want to pass properties here. Properties also similar to map type only, right? Properties also will hold key value only. Properties I want to pass here. Which properties? Anything you pass. Some properties I want to pass here. So to pass properties you have props tag. For map you have map tag. For properties you have props. Props tag. Within this props and props you can pass each property key. What is your property key? So let's say same states and capitals only. If you want to pass to these properties you can pass. Value you need to pass here. Purely properties will accept only string key and string value, whereas other collections will accept anything. Properties given for only pure configurations. We will see that later, okay? Next example. I'll create properties file and I'll show you how to load from there. Dot properties, okay? Bangalore. So just to create a file with dot properties. Something db configurations dot properties. So this is the properties file. There we put everything as a key value. Driver equal to orkin dot jdbc dot orkin driver. If you are doing Spring Boot, you will be seeing properties file, right? Spring Boot configuration file. There we do lot of configurations, key and value. So that is the properties file. So this class used to read these properties. Okay. Anyway, that we will see tomorrow how to read even properties here. And now I have one more object as a dependency, which is address class. In address class, I don't have any dependencies. Let me put private string street, private string house number. Pin code. In this address class, I am generating getters and setters. You know setters only required for you to set data. Then why getter? Just to read the data only. Now this address object also I can able to pass here. Set address. So first to create address. Address bean is a separate bean class that you should create. Bean id address class beans dot address bean. My address bean also having few dependencies. Set street, set house number, set pin code, street name, Gandhi street, house number, pin code. So now this address object as a dependency I have here. Address object itself I have a dependency. So what you can do, you call that setter method also here. property set address. Now for all these I used values or map tags, entries and all. For this address you can pass use simply reference ref, because this is an object reference I should pass here. So this object I am giving here. So this is how you can deal with all the properties. For simple properties value you can use, for array you can use list tag and you can pass. Ref we will use, yes, property setter method name we will use, and we will use a ref and we pass another object reference there. Interlinking, I am connecting this one with this one. This ID I am passing here so that this one will be passed into this address. That's it. Now I did everything as a dependency here. Okay, I am removing this properties file, nothing to use. Now have your client class name. So I'm loading my Spring XML file here and try to get your object. Application context dot get bean of, what is your bean? Student bean. Get your student bean class. Two ways we have, you know, right? Using ID you can call or else give your class name here. So this is the best approach. Now I'll just print my student bean. Run it. Okay. To get the bean, it is created. That is well good. I need that object. I'm at consumer end, so I'm trying to fetching it. I'm not creating it. I'm trying to fetching it. Okay. I wanted to use, yeah, access it. Yes. Okay. Pin code we directly given without calling setter method. Set pin value pass it. So whichever object is created by IOC, I am requesting IOC to give that object. See, set name executed, set email, set roll number, set subject, set fruit, set city, set states, capitals, properties, set address. Everything is injected here. Perfect. Finally, I can able to get my object. Did I generated two string method? No. Yeah, two string method, at least I can see what data I passed. So via this setter methods, everything I given and data you can see. Set name, Nitin I given, Nitin at Gmail given, roll number given, and I given array of subjects, right? Core Java, Spring, Microservices, that also came here. And fruits given apple, mango, banana, cities given Hyderabad, Delhi, Mumbai, states, capitals, TS, MHKA. In properties also given the same. And I have address also injected. And that address data also I can able to see. Which means as a developer, using this dependency injection concept for your application, right? Any of your application class, you can pass anything. Let's assume you can pass anything. You need not to hard code. As a developer, you need not do any configurations. You need not to configure any objects. You can supply everything from XML file. So you will get lot of flexibility here. We will talk about that, okay? In terms of flexibility, how you will get. So tomorrow we will see what is constructor dependency injection, and we will talk about the runtime polymorphism flexibility, means as a developer how you will benefit really. Then we will go with advanced concepts like auto wiring. Okay.